The twin suns of Zeralin rose slowly over the crystal towers of the Sci-Fi capital. Light passed through the towers, casting blue and silver beams across the city. Birds with glowing feathers flew between the high spires, singing soft songs. It was a peaceful day. Inside the royal palace, Queen Tessera stood on her balcony. Her skin was smooth like polished stone, her eyes large and full of wisdom. She was the ruler of the Sci-Fi, one of the oldest and most respected alien species. In the galaxy, she wore a long white robe decorated with golden symbols of peace. Behind her stood many guards, tall and silent. But the queen did not feel calm today. Her daughter, Princess Valari, was missing. 2 days earlier, Valari had taken a diplomatic trip to a border station near human space. She had begged her mother to let her go. "Please, mother," she had said. "I want to learn more about the other species, especially humans. They helped us during the Shadow War, didn't they?" Queen Tessera had hesitated. Yes, some humans helped, but many also brought violence. They are unpredictable. "That's why I want to understand them," Valari said with shining eyes. "Knowledge brings peace." Finally, the queen had agreed. "You may go, but you must stay with the royal guards at all times." Valari had smiled, hugged her mother, and left the next morning now. She had vanished. The border station had sent a simple report. Princess Valari entered her guest chamber at 2200 hours. In the morning, she was gone. No sign of forced entry. Cameras were disabled for 47 seconds. We found no clues. We believe she was taken by unknown parties. Queen Tessera had crushed the message tablet in her hand. The Sci-Fi military searched. Every system drones flew through asteroid fields. Spy satellites scanned empty moons. Interrogators questioned every witness, but nothing was found. Whispers began. "Maybe the humans took her," said one general. "They have motive. They want to break our power. Should we prepare for war?" But Tessera was silent. She didn't believe in blaming without proof. Her heart was breaking. Valari was not only her daughter, she was the future of their people. Each night, Tessera sat alone in her daughter's empty room, staring at the stars, far away across the edge of Varnock territory. On a dry desert moon called Keller 9, a man named Jace Nolan lived alone. He was human. Once he had been a decorated soldier, commander of a Terran Ranger unit. He had fought in the Shadow War beside Sci-Fi warriors. He had lost friends, human and alien, during those dark years. After the war, he had disappeared. Tired of fighting, he chose silence. Keller 9 was the perfect place for someone who wanted to be forgotten. He grew food, repaired old machines, and listened to the quiet wind. One night, while fixing a broken satellite dish, his scanner picked up something strange. Beep, beep, beep. A faint signal. Old Sci-Fi code. Faint, broken, and hidden inside a weather pattern. Curious, Jace cleaned the signal. He sat in his small cabin, fingers flying over his dusty computer. As the code became clear, his face hardened. It was a distress call from a Sci-Fi royal frequency. The message was short but clear. Prisoner. Still alive. Varnock. Class. Request aid. Please, then static. Jace leaned back in his chair. He hadn't heard that voice before, but the tone, young, scared, noble, sounded like someone important. He opened a dusty metal case under his bed. Inside were his old weapons, armor, a small Sci-Fi pendant, a gift from an old friend who had died in the war. He held it tight. "Guess I'm not done yet," he muttered. Back on Zeralin, Queen Tessera sat in the war room, staring at holograms of fleets and maps. Her commanders wanted to attack suspected Varnock systems. "No," she said coldly. "Not until we are sure." Suddenly, her tech officer ran into the room. "Your Majesty? A rogue human signal just accessed our emergency beacon. What?" She stood. The signal came from Keller 9, a human outpost. He decoded the message, the one we couldn't find. "What message?" "I believe it came from the princess." Jace loaded his ship. It was old, scratched, and loud, but it still flew. He named it Sparrow because it was small and fast. He checked his weapons: pulse rifle, shock grenades, grapple cord, energy blade. It's all still working. He added medical supplies, rations, and extra fuel. He downloaded the signal's last coordinates. Deep inside Varnock territory, too deep, no one would help him. No one would follow. He didn't care. He launched the Sparrow at midnight as the stars blurred past the ship's windows. Jace whispered, "Hang on, kid. I'm coming." In a dark prison cell on a massive alien ship, Princess Valari sat alone. Her long hair was dirty, her royal clothes torn, her silver bracelet, a gift from her mother, had been taken. She had not cried. She was trained in diplomacy, science, and leadership, but not for this. The Varnock were tall, armored creatures with red eyes and metal claws. They did not speak much, only watched her, studied her. They called her the Key. Valari didn't know what that meant. She only knew they were planning something terrible. Every night, she tried to repair the small tracking device hidden in her bracelet. One night it worked, just for a few seconds. She had sent the signal. But was anyone listening? As Jace flew toward the Varnock sector, he remembered the last time he saw a Seraphari cry. It was during the Shadow War. Her name was Tessera. Her best friend had died saving Jace's life. That day she had looked at him and said, "Human, if you ever have the chance. Protect life, even if it's not your own." Now, her daughter needed him. He smiled sadly. "Yeah," he said out loud. "I remember." Queen Tessera stood again on her balcony looking at the stars. This time she did not cry, but her heart whispered. One name, Valari. And far away, a human warrior raced through space, the only one brave enough to answer that call. The small ship called Sparrow flew fast through the dark space. Inside it, Jace Nolan, the retired human soldier, sat at the controls. His eyes were sharp, his hands steady. He didn't speak much. He only stared at the map on his screen, the one showing the location of the alien signal. He was going straight into Varnock territory. Most people in the galaxy feared the Varnock. They were strong, cruel, and smart. Their ships were large and full of weapons. They had no allies. No one trusted them. They had once tried to take over half the galaxy. Now, they worked in secret planning, waiting, watching. Jace knew the risks. He had fought against them before, but this time, he was not part of a big army. He was alone. Still, he did not stop. On the Varnock mothership, deep in the cold space, Princess Valari sat in her prison cell. The walls were dark and made of smooth black metal. Single red light glowed above her. The floor was cold under her feet. Valari had not slept. Her body was weak. Her mind was tired. But her spirit stayed strong. She looked at the corner of the room where she had hidden a broken metal piece from her bed. It was sharp. If she needed to fight, she would. Suddenly the door opened with a hiss. A Varnock soldier stepped in. He was tall, with hard silver armor and eyes that glowed like burning coal. He looked at her without emotion. "The High Commander wants you alive," he said in a cold voice. "But if you try to escape, we will change that." He turned and left. The door closed again. Valari closed her eyes. She whispered, "Mother, please don't give up on me." Back on the Sparrow, Jace finished checking his gear. His rifle was working. His armor was tight. He wore a black and gray suit that helped him move quietly. Over his shoulder, he carried a small Seraphari pendant, a gift from long ago. As he flew closer to the Varnock border, alarms beeped. The ship's AI voice spoke, "Warning, enemy territory ahead. Cloaking system recommended." Jace pushed a button. The Sparrow became invisible to enemy scanners. The stars around him looked strange, bending as light passed around his ship. "This better work," he muttered. He passed 2 enemy drones without being seen. Flew through an old asteroid field using the rocks to hide. Then he saw it, the Varnock mothership. It was huge, like a city floating in space. Sharp edges, black, armor, red glowing lights. His screen flashed, target locked, signal source confirmed inside enemy vessel. Jace took a deep breath. Time to go in. Using old war tricks, Jace flew low under the ship. He found a maintenance vent. He locked the ship into standby mode, put on his helmet, and shot a line from his grappling gun. He climbed onto the Varnak ship and cut open the vent with a small laser. He crawled inside, silent, like a shadow. Inside the Varnak ship, the halls were dark and cold. Lights flickered. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. Jace moved fast, using his map to find the signal source. He passed labs with strange machines. He saw cages with other prisoners, not just Seraphar, but many aliens. Some were too weak to speak. Others looked at him with fear. He kept going. Then he saw her Valari, through a small window in a cell door. She was sitting, head down, her back straight. Jace opened the lock with a hacking tool. The door slid open slowly. Valari looked up, her eyes wide. "Who are you?" she asked in shock. "Jace Nolan." "Human," he said. "I got your signal." She stood up. "You're a human." "Yeah," he said, checking the hall. "A friendly one." She hesitated. "Why are you here?" "To get you out." She blinked. "Alone." Yep, she shook her head. "That's crazy." He smiled. "Maybe. But crazy's the only plan I've got." They left the cell together, moving quietly. Jace handed her a small stun pistol. She took it nervously. As they passed one hallway, a Varnak patrol turned the corner. 4 soldiers, big. Fast Jace pushed Valari behind a crate. "Stay down." Rolled out, fired 3 quick shots. The first 2 dropped. The third fired back. Jace ducked, then threw a grenade. It exploded with a crackling sound. Electricity flashed. The last soldier fell, twitching. Vari stood frozen. You fought them like it was nothing," she whispered. "I've had practice," Jace said, wincing. One blast had hit his arm. Blood leaked from the suit, but he kept moving. They ran through more halls. Jace opened doors, cut wires, blocked paths behind them. Valari helped when she could, guiding with what she had learned about the ship. At one point she asked, "Why did you come?" He stopped. "Because you're just a kid, and no one should be left behind." She looked at him, surprised. Then she nodded. Finally they reached the escape route. Something was wrong. The alarm went off. The red lights flashed. Sirens screamed. Jace cursed. "They found us." A robotic voice spoke across the ship. "Prisoner escape detected. Forces to Sector 7. Jace grabbed Valera's hand. "Run." They sprinted through a loading bay. Varnak troops appeared from every direction. Jace covered her, firing fast. Valari helped, shooting a few blasts from her small pistol. She wasn't trained, but she was brave. They reached the edge of the bay and saw Jace's ship, the Sparrow. Hovering outside the open dock gate, "Jump," Jace shouted. They ran and leaped across the gap. The ship's doors opened, and they rolled inside. Jace hit the button to close the hatch. Shots slammed into the walls. But they were in. Jace fell. Into the pilot seat, blood on his armor. "Hold tight," he said. Valari strapped in. "Are we safe?" "Not yet." He flew the ship into the black void of space. Varnak fighters followed behind them. Lasers flashed. Explosions shook the ship. "Can we outrun them?" Valari asked. "No," Jace said, "but we can lose them." Flew into an asteroid field. Rocks spun all around them. Some big, some small. Jace dodged left, then right. A blast hit the ship's side. Sparks flew. "Warning, hull damage," said the AI. Valari looked scared. "We won't make it." "Yes, we will," Jace said through gritted teeth. He flipped the ship upside down and dived under a giant rock. One enemy ship followed and crashed into the stone, exploding. Another 2 came closer. Jace turned sharply, letting 2 asteroids crash into them like a trap. Boom. Gone. Only one left. "Fire," he shouted. VELR. I pressed the button on her side. The ship's back cannon fired. Direct hit. The last enemy was destroyed. Silence, they had escaped. Jace leaned back, breathing hard. His shoulder was bleeding more now. Valari looked at him, eyes wide. "You saved me, I told you I would."
Ask.
She took his hand. "Thank you, Jace Nolan." He gave her a weak smile. "Don't thank me yet. We're not home." She nodded. "I can guide you to Sci-Fi space." "Good. But we'll need to move fast." Now the Varnock don't like losing. Looked out the window. The stars were quiet again, but war might be coming. And this was only the beginning. The Sparrow moved quietly through space. Its engines were set to low power to avoid enemy scanners. Inside the ship, Jace Nolan sat in the pilot seat, his face pale and tired. Blood slowly leaked from the wound on his arm. His armor was scratched. His breathing was heavy. Behind him, Princess Valari worked on the ship's controls. She had tied a cloth around Jace's arm to stop the bleeding. "Just hold on," she said, trying to stay calm. "We're almost out of their sector." Jace gave a weak smile. "You're doing fine, kid. Better than some soldiers I trained." Valari blushed. "I'm not a soldier. Today you are." Suddenly, a loud beep came from the ship's scanner. "Warning. Varnock patrol detected." Valari looked at the screen. For Varnock fighters were flying near a mining belt, the only path to Sci-Fi space. Jace's smile disappeared. "They're setting a trap," he said. "Can we go around them?" "No time. We need a faster route." Valari opened the star map and pointed. "There's a shortcut. A wormhole, but it's unstable." Jace frowned. "Those things are risky. Some ships never come out the other side." Valari looked into his eyes. "Do we have a choice?" Jace stared at the screen. The fighters were getting closer. He nodded. "All right, set course for the wormhole. Let's hope luck is on our side." They turned the Sparrow toward the wormhole. It was hidden behind a broken moon. As they got closer, the space around them shimmered with strange lights. Wormhole was a swirling tunnel of energy. Blue lightning crackled across its edges. "Brace yourself," Jace warned. He pushed the engine to full power. The ship entered the wormhole, and everything changed. Inside the wormhole, time and space bent in strange ways. Valari felt dizzy, her vision blurred. The ship shook violently. Outside the window, colors twisted and danced. Shapes moved like shadows in fog. "Is this normal?" Valari asked, holding her seat. Jace laughed. "There's nothing normal about wormholes." The ship was pulled forward, then pushed sideways. For a moment, everything went dark. Then light. The ship shot out of the wormhole like a bullet. Stars returned. Calm returned. But something was wrong. Valari looked at the scanner. "We're not near Sci-Fi space." Jace checked his system. "You're right. We're off course." Before them floated a giant black shape, a Varnock fortress hidden in the shadows of a dead planet. It looked like a giant claw made of metal, with hundreds of turrets and towers. And now, Sparrow was right in front of it. "Not good," Jay said. A red light flashed. "Alert. Tractor beam activated." The ship shook as invisible force pulled. It toward the fortress. "They've got us," Valari said, voice full of fear. "Not yet," Grace growled. He pulled a switch and activated manual override. The ship's engines roared. He fired the boosters and launched flares. For a few seconds, the tractor beam lost grip. Jace turned the ship downward, aiming for a small maintenance tunnel on the fortress's lower side. Valari shouted, "We'll crash." "No, we won't." The Sparrow scraped against metal, sparks flew, but it slid into the tunnel and came to a stop. Inside the ship, everything was silent. Jace looked at Valari. Now we're inside their home. They stepped out of the ship into the narrow tunnel. It was dark and filled with steam. Jace carried his rifle. Valari had her small pistol. "Stick close," he said. "This place will be crawling with enemies." "Why are we going in?" she asked. "To disable their tracking system," he answered. "If we don't, they'll find us no matter where we run." Valari nodded. She followed him through the tunnels. Inside the fortress, they passed huge halls filled with machines and strange weapons. Some rooms had giant glass tanks with creatures floating inside. Others had glowing orbs that buzzed with energy. They saw no guards yet. This area must be under repair, Jace guessed. Lucky break. They reached a control room. Jace placed a small hacking device on the main terminal. "We just need a few minutes," he said. "Valar." I looked at the door. "I'll watch." Jace typed fast, breaking into the system. He found files about experiments not just on her, but on other royal species. The Varnock were trying to copy powers, steal knowledge, and build a weapon that could control minds. "They want to control leaders," Jace said. "Start wars without anyone knowing." Valari looked horrified. "That's why they took me." Jace nodded. "You're not just a hostage, you're a piece of their plan." He hit a final button. "Their tracking system is offline. We can escape now." Suddenly, alarm. Red lights flashed. Footsteps echoed. The door burst open. Varnick soldiers stormed in. Jace grabbed Valari and ran. Bullets hit the wall behind them. They ran through the halls. Jace threw smoke bombs and flash grenades to slow the enemy. But then Jace stumbled. He fell to one knee, grabbing his injured arm. "Go," he said. "Run." Valari refused. "No, I won't leave you." She helped him up, putting his arm around her shoulder. Together, they kept moving. At last they reached the Sparrow. Jace climbed into the pilot's seat with Valari's help. The ship's systems were already warming up. Outside, dozens of Varnock troops surrounded the tunnel exit. "We're boxed in," Valari said. Jace smiled. "I've got one more trick." He opened a secret panel and pulled a small red device. A mini EMP bomb. He tossed it out the back. "Hold your ears." Boom. A blast of electric energy swept through the tunnel. The Varnock soldiers' weapons and armor shut down for a moment. Jace hit the launch button. The Sparrow fired its engines and shot through the stunned enemy troops out of the fortress and into open space. But freedom didn't last long. A giant Varnock destroyer appeared. Its weapons locked onto the Sparrow. Valari shouted, "They'll shoot us down." Jace flipped switches and spoke quickly. "We're going to use the gravity of that dead planet. We'll slingshot around it and enter warp. But we'll only have one shot." "Exactly." The ship dived toward the planet. The destroyer followed, firing beams of red light. The Sparrow shook. A wing was damaged. Warning lights blinked. JCE focused hard. The ship curved around the planet's side. "Now," he shouted. He pulled the warp lever. The stars stretched and blurred in 1 second. They were gone. Silence. They were out. Valari opened her eyes. They were finally near. Sci-Fi space. The stars were familiar. A Sci-Fi satellite scanned them and sent a message. "Royal signal detected. Princess Valari, is that you?" Valari leaned forward. "This is Valari. I'm alive. And I'm bringing someone very important with me." Jace leaned back, blood on his chest plate, but smiling. "You're going home," he whispered. Valari looked at him with shining eyes. "Because of you?" Far away, on Ziralon, Queen Tessera stood on her balcony again. Her eyes looked at the stars. A soft voice came through her communicator. "Your Majesty, we found her." Tessera dropped the device. She fell to her knees, and for the first time in many years she wept. The ship Sparrow floated through the edge of Sci-Fi space, damaged but alive. Inside, Princess Valari sat at the co-pilot seat, her fingers flying over the controls. Her eyes were bright with hope. They had escaped. She looked back at Jace Nolan, the human warrior who saved her. He sat slumped in the pilot chair, his armor broken, his arm bleeding more than before. His face was pale, but his eyes were still sharp. "You okay?" she asked, worried. "I've been worse," he said with a weak smile. Valari quickly activated the medical kit and placed a healing patch on his arm. "You need real help," she said. "Let's get to your people first," he replied. "I'll sleep for a year." Suddenly a message appeared on the screen. "Sci-Fi, Royal Defense Fleet respond now." Valari pressed the button. A hologram appeared. A Sci-Fi officer in a silver uniform stared at her with wide eyes. "Princess Valari," he asked. "It's me," she said, her voice steady. The officer's eyes filled with tears. "We thought you were gone." "I'm safe," she said, "thanks to him." She pointed at Jace. The officer looked at Jace. He didn't speak for a moment, then gave a respectful nod. The Queen must see you at once. Sending escort ships now, Jace muttered. Finally, some good news. But it wasn't good for long. Behind them, alarms screamed again. Beep, beep, beep. Varnock destroyers incoming. Jace looked at the radar. No, not now. 3 huge Varnock warships had exited warp just behind them. Their engines glowed red. Their weapons were charged. L-F-L. I gasped. They followed us. They're breaking the treaty, Jace said, tacking this deep into Sarafari space. That's war. Valeri looked at the radar. Our escort ships are far. They won't reach us in time. Jace gritted his teeth. Then we'll have to hold them off. Valeri's voice was firm. What do we do? Jace pressed buttons fast. Sparrow has one trick left. It's called the shadow burn. What is that? Dumps all fuel into the engine, makes the ship go faster than ever just once. We can reach the capital in a few minutes. We can't stop or slow down after. Valeri's eyes widened. That's dangerous. Jace nodded. Yup. But better than getting blasted, she didn't argue. Let's do it, Jace. Activated the shadow burn. The ship shook. Engines roared like thunder. Flames burst from the back. The Sparrow became a comet, flying faster than most warships. The Varnock followed. Valeri looked out the window. Red beams of energy flew past them. One blast hit their left wing. Sparks flew inside the cockpit. Stabilizers offline. Valeri shouted. Jayak gripped the controls. Keep her level. They weaved through asteroid belts and shattered moons. One wrong move, and they would crash. Valeri fired back with the Sparrow's rear guns. I hit one. Another enemy ship exploded, but 2 were still chasing. Jace pulled the ship into a sharp dive toward a gas giant. We'll use its gravity again. Valeri held on tight. Don't you ever fly straight? He laughed. Where's the fun in that? Back on Zarellan, Queen Tessera stood in the royal war chamber watching the live battlefield feed. Her daughter's ship was speeding toward the capital. Varnock ships were in pursuit. She turned to her generals. Send every ship we have. Protect the princess. But they are already in our space, a general said. It's too late for diplomacy. Then we show them who we are, Tessera said, her voice like ice. We protect our own. In space, near the capital planet, hundreds of Sarafari warships formed a wall. They shined like silver blades in the darkness. The Sparrow flew toward them like a spark. Behind, the Varnock destroyers didn't slow down. They're not stopping, Valeri said. They want to destroy both of us before your people can help. Jace replied. The lead Varnock ship locked on. Valeri shouted. They're charging their main cannon. Jace hit a final button. All power to shields. The Varnock ship fired. A huge beam of red energy slammed into the Sparrow. The ship screamed. Lights broke. Panels exploded, but the Sparrow didn't fall. It reached the line of Sarafari ships. Then, everything stopped. The Varnock ships were surrounded. Queen Tessera appeared on the main Sarafari battleship. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. She spoke through the coms to the Varnock commander. You have crossed into our space. You have chased my daughter. This is an act of war. The Varnock commander, a cold-faced alien with metal skin, replied. She was ours to take. She holds secrets we need. She is my daughter, the Queen said, and you are finished. Gave the signal. Every Sarafari ship fired at once. The sky lit up. One by one, the Varnock ships exploded. The war had begun. Inside the Sparrow, Jace was unconscious. His body had taken too much damage. Valeri shook him. Jace, wake up. He groaned. Still alive? You did it, she whispered. You saved me. You brought me home. He smiled weakly. Told you I would. Later, in the Royal Medical Wing, Jace lay on a soft bed. He wore clean clothes. His wounds were healing. Valeri stood beside him, holding his hand. Queen Tessera entered the room. Jace sat up slowly, surprised. The Queen walked to him. Her guards stayed behind. Her eyes were full of emotion. She looked at him for a long time. Then, she knelt. Everyone in the room gasped. She said, "Human. You saved my daughter. You risked your life. You crossed enemy space. You fought alone. You were not just brave. You were noble." Jace looked shocked. "I didn't do it for reward. No, Tessera said. "That is why it means more." She stood and gave him a medal, shaped like a star, with her royal crest. "This is the highest honor of the Seraphari. No alien has ever received it." Jace looked at Valari, then at the queen. "Thank you," he said quietly. That night, Valari stood on her balcony. She looked at the stars. The war with the Varnak had started, but the people were united. They were ready. And they had one new hero, a human named Jace Nolan. He had risked everything to save her. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you." Far above the planet, the stars burned brighter, as if answering her words. The golden sun of Zarellan rose over the royal palace. The towers sparkled, birds flew across the sky. Peace had returned, but only for a short time. Inside the palace, Queen Tessera stood before the High Council. Round her were leaders, generals, and diplomats. Everyone had one question. What happens next? The Varnak had attacked Seraphari space. They chased the princess. They broke the treaty. Now the galaxy was watching. Queen Tessera spoke in a strong voice. "This is not just about war. This is about protecting our future." She looked around the room. The Varnak wanted to control minds. They kidnapped leaders. They wanted to turn peace into chaos. But one man stopped them, a human. Everyone nodded. All had heard the story. A retired human soldier, alone, saved the princess, crossed enemy space, and brought her home. In the Royal Medical Wing, Jace Nolan sat near a window, drinking a warm cup of herbal tea. His wounds were healing fast, thanks to Seraphari medicine. He still wore a light bandage on his arm and a small brace on his leg. But he felt stronger each day. He watched the sky and smiled. It was peaceful now. The door opened. Princess Valari entered, wearing a soft silver robe. Her face was calm, but her eyes sparkled with energy. "You look better," she said. "I feel better," Jace replied. "Still a bit sore. I brought you something." She handed him a crystal tablet. On it was a message from hundreds of people, Seraphari, humans, and even other species, all thanking him. He read some of the messages, then looked up. "I didn't do it for thanks," Valari smiled. "That's why everyone is thanking you." Later that day, Jace was invited to the royal ceremony. He didn't like attention. He didn't like wearing fancy clothes. But Valari told him, "You have to come. It's important." So he went. He stood on a grand stage, surrounded by lights, flowers, and cheering crowds. Thousands of Seraphari citizens had gathered. Even news drones floated in the air. Recording everything, Queen Tessera stood at the center of the stage. She raised her hand. The crowd became silent. She said, "Today we honor a man who reminded us what true courage means. He is not Seraphari. He is not bound by our laws. But he came for my daughter when no one else did." She turned toward Jace. Her voice softened. "You saved my child. You brought her home. You made me believe in hope again." Tears filled her eyes. She placed her hands on Jace's shoulders and spoke loudly from this day. "Jace Nolan is not just a hero, he is family." The crowd cheered. Then she said something even more shocking. "We offer him citizenship, land, and a seat in our council if he chooses to stay." Jace was stunned. He stepped forward and spoke into the mic. "I don't need land. I don't need power. I just wanted to do the right thing." The crowd was silent. Then he added, "But I'll stay a little while, if you'll have me." Everyone cheered again, louder than before. Weeks passed. Jace was given a home near the royal gardens. It was peaceful and quiet, just the way he liked it. He spent his days walking, helping repair defense systems, and teaching young Seraphari soldiers how to fight. He also spent time with Valari. They talked, laughed, and sometimes trained together. He taught her how to fire a human weapon. Taught him how to meditate like the SERAPHRE. They became close friends. One day, while walking near the waterfall, Valeri said. I used to think humans were wild and dangerous. Jace laughed. Some of us are, but you're different. Looked at her. Maybe. Or maybe I just had something to fight for. She smiled. You had me. But peace never lasts forever. One night, alarms rang across the city. Varnak fleet approaching. All units to defense stations. Jace woke up instantly. He grabbed his gear and ran to the command center. There, Queen Tessera stood ready in armor. Valeri stood beside her, calm but serious. What's the situation? Jace asked. A Varnak fleet is at the edge of our system, Tessera said. They sent a message. They want Princess Valeri returned. They're still after her, Jace said, angry. Valeri stepped forward. I won't go back. I won't hide. Jace looked at her with pride. Good, because we're going to stop them together. The battle began. The Sci-Fi fleet rose into the sky. Jace flew in a small attack ship, leading a squad of mixed pilots, human and Sci-Fi. Valeri commanded from the royal warship, giving orders with a clear voice. The Varnak fleet was powerful. Their weapons were strong, but this time the Sci-Fi were ready, and Jace was there. He flew straight into enemy lines. Blasting turrets and dodging fire, he took down 3 enemy ships on his own. Valeri guided her soldiers with care and courage. The Sci-Fi fought like lions. After hours of fighting, the enemy fleet began to retreat. The Varnak lost. Victory was theirs. Back on the ground, people cheered in the streets. Flowers rained from balconies. Music filled the air. In the palace, Queen Tessera hugged her daughter tightly. She whispered, I'm so proud of you. Valeri whispered back. Jace helped me believe in myself. The Queen nodded. He helped us all. That night, there was a great celebration. Jace stood on the palace balcony, watching fireworks light up the sky. He held a glass of sweet Sci-Fi drink. Valeri joined him. You could go home now, she said softly. I could, he answered. But you're staying, aren't you? He smiled. Yeah, this place needs a human or two. She laughed. Then, you're not just a hero, Jace Nolan. You're one of us now. He looked at the stars and said, Funny thing. I came here to save someone, but maybe this place saved me too. Far above, the stars sparkled like tears in the sky, and the Queen, who once wept for her lost daughter, now smiled because her daughter had returned, and she had brought with her a human warrior who changed the galaxy.